Hello, and welcome back to my channel. This is going to be my review of Business is Business by Young Thug. So last that we heard from Young Thug, he has been arrested and charged with 56 counts of RICO indictments, and so this project came as quite a surprise. So a lot of people were wondering before this came out, is this all going to be recorded from prison? Are these old tracks? What's going on with this? And as we've been told, a lot of these are songs from just before he got arrested. And I feel like even though that was quite a while ago, a lot of these songs still actually really hold up. And not like it's been like 10 years or something, but it's still like feels like he just made these and they still feel fresh. It doesn't feel like dated anyway. Like, oh, obviously these are recorded like however long ago, but I think this is a good project. I think it's getting overhated by a lot of people, and I'm not quite sure why. I feel like you have a lot of really solid Young Thug songs. I feel like most of the features actually do a really good job. I really can't think of actually one single feature that does bad. But yeah, I mean, I don't see a lot to hate on here. I do have moments that I'm not a huge fan of, but yeah, most of the project is pretty damn good, and I do like the points of where it gets very real, and in certain moments it talks about basically what Young Thug is going through right now through kind of like the guest features, which we'll talk about that later. I think that the intro track, Parade on Cleveland, is a really good way to introduce the project. I think that Drake does a really good job with that. It kind of shocked me that Young Thug would have someone else kind of open the album, but I feel actually the way that it was done was really tasteful, and I really like the little intermission in the middle where they have the phone call of him from prison. I think that's funny, and it actually, to me, like, it doesn't bother me when that comes on in the song, and I really like Young Thug's closing verse on that too. I think the whole, business is business repeating part really kind of hammers in basically what's going on. This is yeah, so that's a good intro. I do really like Money on the Dresser. I know some people are not liking it. I think that it's in a sense it's kind of goofy and it's a bit of a funny song sometimes, just like the way it sounds, but I feel like it's tastefully in the right spot. It's not a great song, or it's not like one of his best, but I think it's a good song. It's catchy, it's fun to listen to, and I like it. One that I visit a decent amount. On the other hand, Gucci Grocery Bag, the third song, I'm not a big fan of. I think this one's a little bit too goofy. I'm not a big fan of the production on it. Young Thug, I mean, he's known for his kind of goofiness and his eclectic vocal performances, but this one I just think is a little bit too out there for me. I don't know. It's not very catchy. I don't find any of the verses, the lyrics very grabbing and wanting me to keep going to it, but okay, so I would say this one and we'll talk Hoodie, the second to last track. I would say those are my only two skips on the entire project. Everything else I really like. So again, like I said, I don't see much to dislike here, but yeah, so it's just a little bit too goofy for me. I guess I'll just talk about Hoodie. It's not that this is a bad song. I just feel like if you took out Hoodie from the track list, it wouldn't change anything. And typically, when you have something like that, I feel like that's not good. Like when the artist is listening to the project in full before it releases, I feel like each song they have to think about, would I be okay with this song not being heard by people? Like, is this one people are really gonna want to hear? I feel like this one's just kind of meh. Like, there's really not much to it. I think the features do a decent job. Both B Slam and Lil Got It did decent. I think that they meshed well with Young Thug. Production's just okay, but like I said, Just nothing great. So it's not one I revisit too much. But I will say when I'm listening from the project from front to back, it's not one that I skip. Just not one I really look forward to. But that is what it is. Another moment, I guess, since we're talking about the negatives, another part I really don't like, Global Access, the final track on this. It's not that I hate the song. I just hate the production on the second half. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. I actually went and I had to look up before I started recording this. Who the hell produced this? And it's Metro Boomin and a couple other people. And I'm just like, what is this production? I just don't understand. I think the intro is really good. Nate Ruess, in my opinion, from the band Fun, if people don't know who he is or like what is this guy who was just on the last two Young Thug projects, like where the hell is this guy coming from? He was the guy who did the We Are Young and Some Nights. I really like him. I think that he has a really good voice and he is super underrated as a singer, and I really hope this is him, as he works with Young Thug, I hope this is him kind of getting back into the limelight and starts making music again. His intro, I think, is really good. I think it's excellent commentary on, again, what Young Thug is going through, and yeah, I really like that, and he does a great job, but I just don't understand what they were thinking with the sound of the second half. The first half is like, it's really good, it's calming, it sets like this, finale, this conclusive, like part of the album, and then it just switches and it's like, I don't know, it just leaves me like baffled. Like the first time I heard it, I was like, is this for real? Is this the same song? Like, I don't know. That for me, total miss. But you know what? I can at least listen to the first part and do that. So that is what it is. I do like the lyrics that Thug is doing, like him, basically saying like, like the song he says, "Look, mama, no more dat piff." Like he doesn't have to put his music on free websites. Like now he's making tons of money and he's doing stuff for himself and he's getting money for him and his family. And I think that like that sentiment throughout the song is really good. It's just like I said, production. Okay, let's move past that. I ragged on it enough. So let's talk about positives. Cars Ring Me Out, I really like. I feel like not necessarily like a problem. I know for some people it's probably a positive, but for when Future and Thug, when they collab, I feel like Future takes over on a lot of the tracks, and I actually really like that Thug, I feel like, had more runtime on this one, and it feels like it's actually his song, where sometimes Future will take over one of his songs. Yeah, I like their chemistry on this. I think it's a really good one. I think most people think that. With Dirax, really like. It's a good little posse cut there. Probably my favorite single moment on the entire album is this new, like, ad-lib that Young Thug is doing. He did it on Metro Spider on Heroes and Villains from last year, and it is this, I don't like want to scream like he does, but this woo that he does, and it's like super loud and it's like super energetic, and I love the energy it brings to the track. He does it just after Travis Scott's verse on this. Listen to it, listen for that part. I don't know, when that comes on, that hypes me up. I love the energy it brings. I do love the way With Dirax goes into Uncle M. I think that that's really smooth. I like how Travis has like these background distorted waving vocals on the intro and the outro of Uncle M. I really like that. Kind of reminds me of ZTFO from Big Sean's Detroit 2, how Travis had the ad-libs on that. I really like that. I think he actually does really good as just like a background voice. And I think SZA had on SOS, she had Low, she had Travis doing ad-libs on that too. I think he actually does really good when he's just like that background, almost like hype man for the person. I think he should do that more. I like that some artists are having him do that. Speaking of which, you have again, another Travis Scott Young Thug collaboration, Abracadabra. I think that this one is it's not my favorite of their collaborations, but I do think it is really well done. I think that they have a smooth flow, both of them. I like the way that they both glide on the track. It's a very different flow, but I like it. A problem I do have, though, I'm not sure if other people feel this way, but I feel like Abracadabra and Mad Dog, both when they start off, I feel like they sound pretty similar. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. There's a good bit of songs between them, so it's not like if you played them back to back, you're gonna be like, this is the same song. But when I am listening to the album and you hear Abracadabra, and then you go a couple songs later and Mad Dog, I don't know. To me, it sounds like I'm like, wait a minute, is this Abracadabra again? Like, how did that happen? But no, I really like it. I think it's good. It's, again, not one of my favorite of their collaborations of those two. I mean, they have so many, it's hard at this point, but it's a good one. Went through it. I really like. I do really like the lyric of "I saved the world in a dress," as alluding to Young Thug's Project Jeffrey, where he was in this very extravagant dress, and now that dress is in a museum. I really like that. Like, he was, I mean, I feel like besides Kurt Cobain on MTV when he performed in a dress, I feel like Young Thug is like one of the biggest male artists to ever like be in a dress and get like that notoriety for that. Now you got, people doing it all the time and kind of biting it now and ruining it in a sense. But yeah, I really like that line. That's a good track. Really like Oh You Went. I think that Drake and Young Thug, the more that they collaborate, I feel like their chemistry just gets better and better, as we saw on the first track as well. I really like the way they're kind of meshing together. I actually really wouldn't mind to see a collaboration project between them. Want Me Dead, I actually think is a really underrated track. I really like the production on here. I think this is one of the better produced songs on the whole album. Although I do think Metro, he's not on every single track, I don't believe, but I do think every track he's on, for the most part, besides Global Access, he does a really good job. I think this one's exceptional. Hellcat Kenny, again, another really good track. Lil Uzi and Young Thug, I feel like, again, just like Travis Scott and Young Thug, I feel like they never fail to put out a really good collaboration. Like, all of their songs that they have together I really like, and this is just another one to add to the list. And I really like the mesh of their two styles every time they come together. Not that they're super different, but different enough to where they can create this fun dynamic between them. I did talk about Mad Dog a little bit. Sounds kind of similar to Abracadabra, I feel like, but again, just a really good track. Not much to say here for that. Jonesboro, I really like. I think it's super underrated, and I do really like the whole sentiment of this track and the storytelling of basically Young Thug talking about where he came from and like the hard times that he had to endure when he was younger and obviously didn't have the money that he has now. And I really like that. Yeah, Hoodie we talked about in Global Access, but yeah. There are 2 additional tracks that were released a couple days later on the Metro Boomin version. I do really like, I think Money is a really fun track. I like the Monty Python sample. And I do think that Juice and Nicki Minaj both do a really good job on their features. And I think it's just a really fun track. Again, I really like the sample. I think it fits in super well, and it fits for Young Thug. Kind of almost sounds like a track that could have been on So Much Fun from 2019, but I really like it. The other track, I am completely blanking on what it is called. For the Sake of My Kids. I think that's good. I think that also could have been a really good closing track. Not one I visit nearly as much, but again, still a good track. Like I said, I really only have, I guess you could say, 3 skips on this, which being Gucci Grocery Bag, Hoodie, and Global Access. But yeah, Project's really good. I think Metro did a really good job kind of curating the album in a sense. I know he was kind of in charge of the album while Young Thug was in jail. Obviously, I would assume he went to and visited him a lot and talked for the album and how to release it and what he wanted for certain things. But I think it really did a good job kind of putting this together. A notable thing, of course, I have to talk about it because I reviewed Gunna's album, is that this is the first Young Thug project since 2016 with his Slime Season 3 that Gunna has not been on a Young Thug project. I don't really see any people talking about that. I mean, people are talking about how neither one is on each other's albums, but like I feel like it's more monumental that it's like this is the first time since 2016. Like since then, every single Young Thug project he has had Gunna on at least one song, and some of the projects he's on had him on multiple. If you look at Slime Language 2, the YSL Collective project, Young Thug and Gunna have, I mean, numerous tracks of them together with other artists. So, yeah, I mean, the same thing. So much fun. I think they have 3 or 4 collaborations on there. So, Punk, same thing. I think they have 3 collaborations on there. So, it's definitely something interesting to look at. I don't know if it was intentional. Again, no one really knows for sure. A lot of people make speculation, but no one really knows for sure. With that note, though, I think that this album, kind of, especially with the way that it ends, leaves a lot to think about for what is going on with Young Thug, and it hasn't really happened to the notoriety that Young Thug's has, but just the trial and I mean, as Nate Roos said with his verse, that the U.S. would rather look at someone and what they have done and said, and they would rather look at that as evidence for crime instead of as it being like a work of art. I know a lot of people don't see rap music as art, but it is an art style. I mean, music is still music, no matter what style it is, no matter if you like it or not. It's still art, and I think that it ends on a really good note with, basically saying like the government would rather look at the things he says as being, admissible in court than just him saying something. And I think 21 Savage really did justice on this topic with him saying not too long ago in a tweet in reply to someone, he said, "A song is for entertainment. It's not an instruction manual on how to live life. Stop trying to make me one-dimensional." And coming from someone like him, I mean, a lot of people point to him as well for kind of the hypocrisy of, him saying, like, we need to stop the violence, and basically, all of these, when you see all these artists getting killed and stuff, and that's when he came out and said this, and it's like, yeah, they can say the stuff in the song, but this isn't promoting it, and it's not saying like, we do this. I mean, realistically, anybody can go on to a song and record themselves saying something violent and saying they did this and that. I mean, shit, look at Eminem in the late 90s and early 2000s. The shit that he said and the things he said he was doing or would do, but he, like, never got arrested for it. I mean, I know he got into there's a lot of controversy, and a lot of people did not like the things he said. And I mean, if you listen back to some of that stuff, it really doesn't age well. But I mean, he didn't have to go on trial. He didn't, get sent to jail just for what he said. I mean, that also could be a test to a race thing, which is a whole different conversation. But yeah, I like that the way that the album addresses that and what he's going through right now, and I think it definitely leaves a lot to think about when it ends. Yeah, so I really like this project. I actually had a really hard time rating it. I wasn't sure what exactly to give it because I feel like my thoughts were so all over the place, and especially with it being a like a put together release, not necessarily like this wasn't made to be released as an album, at least not now. But yeah, I would probably rate this about a 71%. I'm not very confident in that. Kind of just making it up on the spot now. I couldn't really think of a percentage beforehand, so I'm kind of throwing that number out there. Yeah, let me know what you think of it. Subscribe to see more. I would love to see you in the next video, and thank you for watching. Bye now.